Hi, I'm Mike Thompson. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this industrial shelf out of pipes. Done. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I built this. Not too hard. Obviously, you can see that my cut pieces go right here in the middle. There's no sense in having threaded pieces here because they're just going to hold shelves, so I didn't add that. But doing this wasn't terribly difficult. There's a couple little gotchas, and so I'm going to show you those while I build the second one. Ultimately, I'm building 4 of these because each shelf needs 2. I like to get my pipes hand tight, but then you're probably going to need either groove joint pliers, a pipe wrench, or both, so you can really crank it down. And I'll show you here in a minute, when I go to try to make all 4 of them coplanar, why you need these tools. And plus, it's a good excuse to buy them if you don't already have them. And obviously, you want to hold on to your previous fitting so that it doesn't rotate out of plane from everything else you've done up to that point. Now, to make sure that I don't crack my pipes, because you can certainly do that if you over torque them, since they're tapered, I'm going to grab, I don't want to hold onto the pipe here. This is kind of one of the gotchas, I suppose, little tips. If I hold here, I can't generate enough torque, and then I'm only torquing this joint here. I need to rotate this another half a turn, so if I hold this T here with my pipe wrench, I can then basically torque both of these simultaneously and get twice the results basically for free. So, put this here in my pipe wrench, trying not to mar it, of course. And now, I can bring this on around, because I don't care which end is tightening, really. I bought, other than the 2 cross pieces that I just cut, I bought pipes that were already threaded on both ends, because as much as I wanted to buy a pipe threader and just, get a big piece of pipe and thread it, it really wasn't cost effective. These were such a good deal that buying the pipe and then threading it myself wasn't really worth the extra money. So it was more expensive, and I don't thread enough iron pipe to really make it worth it. So that's why I bought everything pre-threaded, and I suggest you do the same. What I need to do, though, is do this one at a time. If I start at the ends and torque them, then I'll be torquing these, potentially loosening them, and you certainly don't want that, because then it could start to flop around. Once I tighten these, I want them to stay tight, and so I don't ever want to have to back them up. So I'm going to start at the top, work my way down one at a time, and move my pliers to the subsequent fitting as I go. So I've got this one. This one, to bring it in, doesn't have to go but 3/4 of a turn. And you get a lot more leverage, of course, now that I've got the pipes in there. I probably won't need my pliers for this one, or my wrench. Okay, that one's now in plane. So now I have to hold here to get the next one, and it's already really close. It's really close. Okay, now I'll set my flanges against the floor and do the final tweaking there, because obviously the flanges must be coplanar. Of course, unless you've got a wonky wall, in which case it doesn't. Okay, so now I've got all of my flanges and pegs and everything are coplanar. But here's a little gotcha that I realized because I thought ahead about how I'm going to assemble this. These 3 holes here in my flange, top and bottom, I've got to be able to get drill access to them. And so I was originally going to have the 1 hole in line on the inside, but you can't do that because then I can't get a drill past this here to screw in straight. So I have to rotate my flanges such that 1 hole is in line with the whole assembly here. So I'm going to do that. And like I said, I don't want to loosen things. So right there, give that a little bit of a... Okay, this hole is now in line, and so now I can access the 2 side holes. I'll flip it over, and you can see this one here is pretty darn close, but he's too loose. So I'm going to tighten him up. Wrench time. Actually, let's try the pliers first. They're far more user-friendly. I've only got to go about a 1/16 of a turn here, you can see on this final flange. Right about there. Okay. Now one thing to note here, I of course want to make sure that my shelves will be level, right? Which means the distances between the pieces has to be the same on each one. This is 11 5/16. That is also 11 5/16. Check it one more time. 7 5/16. Uh-oh. 7 3/16. Like I said, I don't want to loosen, so I have to tighten this one. Because you can very plainly see that these fittings here, if this is my index, this doesn't line up at all. And I have to turn at least one, but I can't turn any other. It has to be an integer value. So I will turn this one time and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to use wall anchors, but I've just got one of my spare flanges that I'm using as a marking template for the holes, because it's much, much easier that way. So I'm going to place it on where I made my first hole, and we're going to mark the other two. You got to be careful with these triple grips because they like to collapse when you stick them in. Solid. Now to anchor the bottom ones. Now it's time to put the shelves on. But I got to make them first. So I better show you how I'm going to do that. And then a little bit of stain to make these shelves match all the rest of the cabinets. This is a project you can definitely do yourself, just don't be afraid to try. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Mike Thompson, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.